The day you stop explaining yourself, everything changes. People look at you differently, their curiosity turns into respect, and suddenly silence becomes your greatest weapon. You don't chase approval anymore. Others chase your answers. And here's the dark truth. The less you explain, the more power you hold. Today, I'll show you why keeping quiet makes people listen louder than ever before. Silence becomes power. Silence has always been misunderstood. Most people fear it, rushing to fill the air with explanations, excuses, or justifications. But when you stop explaining yourself, silence takes on a new meaning. It becomes a form of power. Imagine a moment when someone demands to know why you made a choice, and instead of nervously defending yourself, you simply look at them, calm and unmoved. That pause does something unusual. It shifts the energy in the room. People start to overthink your silence, attaching weight to it, even imagining reasons you never gave. This is where psychology works in your favor. Human minds hate unanswered questions, so your silence forces others to build their own explanations. And in most cases, those explanations end up giving you more strength than words ever could. The less you say, the more people wonder what you're hiding, what you know, and why you don't feel the need to defend yourself. They chase after your silence because it feels like a locked door. What's behind it must be valuable. This reversal is where true control is born. Instead of being on the defensive, you become the one others lean toward, seeking clarity that you never offer fully. And that quiet confidence, it changes the entire way people see you. Respect replaces doubt. Every time you explain yourself, you send a subtle signal. I need you to understand me. I need you to agree with me. That hunger for approval is what makes people doubt your decisions. But when you stop explaining, when you stand by your choices without apology or defense, something fascinating happens. Doubt begins to fade, and respect takes its place. Think about it. The leaders, the figures of authority, the people we admire most, they rarely over-explain. They decide, they act, and others follow. Why? Because certainty creates influence. When you stop explaining yourself, you show that your choices don't depend on the validation of others. This creates a psychological trigger. People begin to wonder, what does this person know that I don't? And that question plants respect. They may not always agree with you, but they start respecting your courage to stand firm without needing approval. That shift in perception is powerful. It moves you from someone seeking acceptance to someone shaping how others think. And once people respect you, their behavior changes. They listen more carefully. They question you less. They treat your decisions as final. What began as silence ends up reshaping the way people value your presence. Respect isn't demanded, it's earned by your refusal to explain. The mystery effect. Explanations remove mystery, and mystery is one of the strongest psychological magnets known to human behavior. The moment you stop explaining yourself, you stop giving away the full story. And suddenly, people are hooked. They can't quite figure you out. They can't label you, define you, or predict your next move. That lack of clarity is exactly what makes you fascinating. Think about the characters in movies or books who intrigue us the most. They're not the ones who talk endlessly about themselves. They're the ones who hold back, who leave us guessing, who reveal only fragments of their world. That same principle applies in life. When you stop explaining, you force people to lean in, to wonder, to speculate, and in doing so, you gain a magnetic pull without even trying. The mystery effect makes people project their own thoughts and fears onto you. They may believe you're stronger, smarter, or more confident than you really are, all because you chose not to explain. It's not deception, it's restraint. And restraint creates allure. Instead of being predictable, you become the unknown factor in every interaction. That sense of unpredictability keeps you unforgettable because the mind always remembers the puzzles it couldn't solve. In this way, withholding explanations transforms you from ordinary into magnetic. Control without effort. Here's a secret about control. It's never about who talks the loudest, it's about who needs to say less. Every time you explain yourself, you hand over tiny pieces of your power. You put yourself in a position where others get to judge your reasons, weigh your choices, and decide if you are right in their eyes. But when you stop explaining, you reclaim that power instantly. You no longer play the game of defense. You create the rules of interaction without even announcing them. Suddenly, people must adapt to your silence, your confidence, your refusal to justify, and that forces them to respect your boundaries without negotiation. This is where psychology turns in your favor. The less effort you put into convincing others, the more control you gain over the situation. People who constantly explain appear weak. as if seeking permission. But those who remain calm and firm appear untouchable. This doesn't mean you never speak. It means you choose when and what to reveal. That choice itself becomes control. Others begin to mirror your energy, lowering their pressure because you're not bending. Without realizing it, they step into your frame of power where you're the one silently directing the flow. Control in this form doesn't look aggressive. It looks effortless. And effortless control is the kind that lasts. Transformation of identity. The deepest change happens within. When you stop explaining yourself, you're not just changing how people see you, you're changing how you see yourself. Every time you resist the urge to justify, you remind yourself that your choices are valid, that your voice carries weight without outside approval. Over time, this creates an unshakable confidence. You stop needing people to understand your every move, and that freedom lifts a weight you didn't even know you were carrying. This is more than confidence, it's identity transformation. You're no longer the person who bends to fit into others' expectations. You become someone who defines their own path and silently dares others to keep up. And here's where psychology makes it powerful. When your identity shifts, people's perception of you shifts automatically. They stop seeing someone who seeks validation and start seeing someone who leads without asking. That aura attracts respect, trust, even curiosity, because you're no longer playing by the rules of approval. And once you see yourself in this new light, you'll never want to go back. The world reacts differently to you, not because they changed, but because you finally decided you don't need to explain. That decision transforms everything, your confidence, your relationships, and ultimately the way life bends in your favor.